hour.
I see dead people.
We all go a little mad. We get you. The dead will follow up. That's your
You are going to die tonight.
Here's Johnny.
It's all for
All right. Hello and welcome to the Horror Hour, place we discuss, we debate, we disagree on all things horror. I'm one of the co-hosts here, Yutaka. Hello. And today I am joined by director Sylvia Caminer of her recent film, Follow Her. How are you today?
I am awesome. It's a beautiful sunny Saturday.
Yes.
And I'm in air conditioning because I'm currently in Florida. So that's a good thing.
Yes, absolutely. It is. The weather's been awful with the heat. But I would like to say, so I did get to screen your film, Follow Her. And along with your main character, you put me through the ringer.
Good.
So first off, I'd like to know what it was like shooting this project.
Well, so it's the first narrative feature film I've directed. I kind of started in the documentary world. So I've worked with actors, though. I started as a stage director. So I felt pretty comfortable with actors, but I knew going in, this was going to have its challenges. And I thought, we'd kind of start things kind of slow and kind of move into the more intense, really dynamic scenes, which of course it didn't go that way. But we did start with the scenes with the two actors. So kind of the middle chunk, and that was with Danny Barker and Luke Cook. And yeah, it was everything you'd expect an independent, film to be. We shot up in, Saugerties and Woodstock, New York. So we were housing, people were sleeping on the set. I mean, it was, yeah.
Oh, wow.
I mean, not a ton. They each had bedrooms, but, go to bed and they're all, that was fun.
Well, also then too, I mean, kudos to also both Danny Barker and Luke Cook. They were phenomenal.
Yeah.
And I know Danny wrote this. So what was it like also? Because again, you have so few actors, which I love, because then that means not only does the writing have to be on point, but you have to continually keep focus. So how was it trying to continually keep the tension that you kept throughout the film?
That was always a big struggle. So I had been looking for a script. I'd been saying I was going to direct a film for 15 years. And I got so busy producing other people's films and then doing documentaries that I took about a year and I read a bunch of scripts. And a mentor of mine, who's a beloved New York City director, filmmaker, who we lost about a year and a half ago, John Gallagher, put me in touch with Danny when he read the script. And so the tension was always, I loved that it was dynamic, that we thought we could do it for moderate, not a moderate cost. And that was always, so I really worked on adding in some horror elements. And there were things about Hitchcock that I really love. Not that I'm comparing myself to Hitchcock, but I, of course, was influenced by him. And of course, my cats are making an appearance.
Oh, you're fine.
And Mr. Squeakers, who's in the movie, will probably parade around too.
Oh my God. I love that. I just love that.
He was the hardest actor. He was the most temperamental actor in the entire set. I'm not kidding. So I had the idea, and Danny and I had such a great collaborative relationship. She's a wonderfully talented, not only actress, but writer. And I really wanted, the thing I love about Hitchcock is that he involves the audience in a way where you're typically a step ahead of the main character. So you're more anxious for them because you know something they don't know. So there are a few little places, where, a certain door gets locked and you're like, oh, and she doesn't realize, there's just a few things that I really wanted to start layering in a little bit, and that would up the tension. And then, the way we were moving the camera, I have a brilliant DP who I've worked with many times, Luke Geisfield. And, we really talked about how to build that tension. And we looked at, shots from like The Shining of how they made Jack Nicholson look so freaky, when he's losing his mind, and how to shoot Luke, who's a master at, he's a stunning actor. Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest. I was like, oh man, he's so attractive. I'm like, no. It's like red flags everywhere. I was like, get out of the house, kind of thing. But I really enjoyed, aside from that, just Well, one, where did you find this location? Because that barn was amazing.
Amazing. I know. So Danny, who wrote it and stars in it, we produced it along with a producer I absolutely adore and could not have made this movie without Michael and Jan. And Danny and I actually started, while we were writing, while we were rewriting and working, started going online and going to like Airbnb and VRBO. And we had one barn that we were like, this is it. I even brought the DP out, and Michael and I went, and we're like, okay, we got it. And then they wanted way too much money, and then they were selling it, so we lost that. And then we happened to find, it's called Barn on the Pond, and oh my God, even better. And it had everything we needed. And I know when I showed it to the DP, he got really excited because we had space. Yeah, the stairs, the exteriors. Yeah. So it was, I want to say it was like Airbnb or VRBO, something like that. And the owner of it got really excited and actually even became a tiny little investor in the film.
Oh, that's amazing.
And helped. And his property manager was like a prop master for us, and her boyfriend was like, amazing. Not prop
I
master.
love that.
She called our amazing production designer, Noah. And yeah.
I think
it was
that's
one
great.
of those projects, help us out. Yeah.
I love that. Honestly, I'm a huge fan of independent horror, and I could really tell while watching this that you all were just giving it 100%. And I didn't get a chance to check, and I should have, about Danny. Was this Danny's first feature length that she's written as well?
Yes, and starred in. Yeah. Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
She's been in a couple of other genre films where she had small but significant roles, but small. And then she kind of lived an altered version. She had a YouTube show where she would do some of these crazy things and get tickled and do some wacky shit and film it secretly and blur, so we used some of that, and then we just took it to a dark place.
It was a fascinating story. I found it very original, and also obviously, you're rooting for Danny, but at times though too, I was just like, you've done some pretty awful things too. I'm like, I'm not really sure which way to think about this. And so I really enjoyed that dynamic. And even when you first kind of also meet Luke's character, I'm like, seems okay, but as you progress, you're just like,
he was kind of we knew we needed someone really charming and attractive, but not in a slick, like, he's a very attractive guy, but in a different, he's not your typical GQ, although if he wanted to, he could go that way, but he's more interesting, and we thought, a lot of women in their late 20s or early 20s or whatever would probably walk with him to go get a script to then go to, to go work. And so we felt like that's kind of believable. And he was from Australia. So, it just felt, and the chemistry between the two of them, his audition for us, we're like, we can't say yes yet, but it was so good. I mean, our casting director, Judy Henderson, was like, guys, and we were like, oh shit. And so we didn't look much more, we had already, and we'd been, not offered, but suggested actors maybe with a larger following. Cause Sabrina, what is that? The revised, the new Netflix Sabrina series.
Yes.
He plays the devil, and he played, the dark, hadn't really launched him yet, so it was after that's why we kind of had to film quickly with him, because we're like, he's going to be busy on that series.
Yeah.
Seasons.
You guys lucked out, because I think both of them, they just continually matched each other's intensity, and I really enjoyed that. I'm curious to know, because one of my favorite scenes though is at the barn and playing with the sights and sounds in terms of turning off the lights, playing the music. Just like, what was it like filming on set that day? Oh
my God.
Because you made that gave me palpitations.
Okay, I'll let you in on a little secret. So we didn't have a huge crew. And for that scene, it was obviously just the two actors. So I had the DP, on his camera. We had the gaffer and the key, and all of that was being done by hand. Like, okay, and Luke at times I have to say lights, and then they would go and turn. I mean, it was
That's
And I'm
awesome.
sitting on the ground like, oh my God, are we ever going to get this? And, you know, the jumping and all of that stuff, it was, yeah, we had to fix a tiny bit of it and post, just remove a couple of frames, but no, it took us because it was all practical. We all just sit there and adding the strobe and when knowing how much or how little and that projected light behind them. And yeah, well, that was later on, but yeah, so that was, and then a lot of that was Luke is just so good at moving his body and
I was
changing his expressions and yeah.
very unsettling. So obviously what I mean, that's what I love about horror and genre. Like you nailed it. I was just like, this scene is so uncomfortable. I was just like, oh my God. And yeah, I'd like to know then too. So how long did it take to film this entire project?
So with Luke and Danny, we filmed for 12 days.
Okay.
To get the kind of, and then we came back. I had a series, a travel series to go off and shoot with Michael for the next like 6 months and make some cash. And then we came back and we shot, I think it was 3 more days and a day and a half of second unit. And then we did the same thing again the following month. So it was like 12, 15, 18 days and a couple days of second unit to get some of the, you know, the cameras moving around the city.
Sure.
You know? So it was relatively quick, but it wasn't, you know, I mean, I've been on films where we've shot for, you know, 14 or 15 days. So we had a couple extra days, but, you know, we needed it because of all the practical, having to have space, thinking about on the frame, where we were going to lay in the graphics, you know, and all of that. Because that was a big part of, oh my God, I don't know that I ever want to do another graphic heavy. I can't tell you. Months. I mean, he's sitting here. Oh my God. I mean, we had over 200 graphics and stuff in the film and coming up with stupid comments. And I engaged with Danny a bit and got her to do some, but then I'm a little bit of a control freak with certain things. So I was like, well, they should, you know, I wanted them to build in a certain way. It was just a lot of work, those graphics. And then our graphic house, you know, Alex Noble, I mean, genius. And that, oh my gosh, our opening title sequence that Ben did is, yeah. So.
I'm gonna tell you, I am not a fan of editing. So whenever I'm watching, so like when doing the graphics or cutting and things, I'm just like, oh, so seeing all that, I was like, a lot of work went into this. And I do think I feel like it paid off. I mean, I know when we were going through the list and we saw, you know, this is going to be playing at Popcorn Frights, but I immediately reached out and I was like, please let me review this, or just, I was like, or at least let me talk to the filmmaker, because the concept was original. And I think Danny did a great job with the writing and acting. But I really also enjoyed, without giving too much away, I'm trying to not spoil, but the part where it felt like you just said, cut, in that scene, I was just like, and all of that, I was like, how did they do this? Oh my God. Like that was just so like on point and like perfectly executed at everybody. I'm like how did you set that up?
That was, that, you know, it's funny because some of the, you know, as it happens sometimes, it was a pretty free set as far as Danny and I were often at the end of the day on notes and giving Luke, thank God he was patient with us, you know, new pages and we just knew that we wanted a bunch of twists. And so that evolved a little bit. It was always kind of like that, you know, this first huge twist, but we added to it. And I don't want to say too much because that is a huge twist in the film, but
oh, it was beautiful.
It was tricky. And the last day of filming was the last bit of the stuff. And of course you never have time on your last day of the 12 days with Luke. And so it was like the sun was coming up and it was like, oh my God, we have to finish. And and shooting and it was winter. So it was cold out. We were afraid we were going to get to like new snow for the wood. And, all the typical, you know, worrying things, you know.
Oh my gosh. I was just like, I had to pause and go, hold up, wait, what the hell just happened? It was such a good, like, it was a great twist that I didn't see coming. I'm like,
yay.
I was like, oh, okay, all right. Well, I was like, just again, as I said, I was just so put through the ringer because I'm like, I didn't know that was out. I didn't see it coming. I guessed a few things, but that was way beyond the scope. And so I loved it. One of the other things that I really also enjoyed is, and this also goes with the writing though, is just Danny's character and kind of being that morally ambiguous.
Yeah.
You know, like, I mean,
Yeah.
we've all done terrible things. Well, I wouldn't say terrible, but we've all done things that could be questionable. And sometimes we'll learn from them. And so it was very interesting to see that progression for her.
Yeah. And, you know, we struggled with it, you know, because there are those people that will say, oh, you can't have a lead character that's unlikable. The anti-hero is a big thing, but anti-heroes, they ought to make them a little bit likable. So when after we had the luxury of shooting that first section, then having some months before we came back. So Danny and I rewrote the opening and the closing. You know, and we're like, okay, we have to make her a little bit, give her a little bit of redemption, make her try to be a little better, give her a little so she's not as, you know. And then the same with the end. We're like, how do we keep the twisty turny feel of the film going in those last 15, 17 minutes? And yeah, so it was a really interesting
chef's kiss, that ending.
Yeah, that was and our editor, I will say, Alex Gans, he's a master. He's great. He's edited some great films, and he really also, you know, was a collaborator, because, you know, that whole ending, you know, we had already cut the mid piece together before we shot the very ending, and so we were talking about how to build it and you know. You know.
Wow. Well, again, kudos. And I didn't hate her, because I kind of liked her smarmy attitude as well. I loved the confidence. I mean, I was like, oh, you probably shouldn't do that, but it was just so
well, she was
charismatic.
Well,
and
she's like,
I'm like, oh, I was like, I kind of want to be like you, because you just have that confidence. I'm like, I want that. But then I'm like, oh, you can't be doing that.
Right.
And I also enjoyed that father-daughter relationship that was also in this.
Yeah, and having Mark Moses, you probably recognize. I mean, he you know, he's such a wonderful actor. You know, it was like we knew we needed to cast someone who could tell us who that character was in 10 seconds, and we're like, so when we made the offer, we were so thrilled to get him. He's wonderful.
It was nice to have somebody that could kind of somewhat ground her. Because I feel like she was still always trying to break free, but I really appreciated that. And I enjoy, I mean, I've been a fan since Desperate Housewives, but yeah, I really, really enjoyed that. I think the cast in general, it worked so well.
Yeah, Ileana, who plays Kai, is a wonderful young actress, and she was perfect. She, you know, we brought her in from LA just for that. I think she filmed only for a day or two, and we're like, you know what, she's worth it. We're gonna fly her in, and she was great to work with. Sweetheart, I'd love to work with her again. And she just, again, kind of like Mark, you see her, she exudes what she needs to for the character. You're like, okay, I know who this is, because we didn't have a lot of time for you to understand who Jess was aspiring to, and who was Jess looking up to, who was her best, kind of who she thought was her best friend.
Right? Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So.
I loved it. You know, for this film, and for those that I urge everyone to see this, really. What do you hope that viewers get from this film, or take away, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit of a cautionary tale, and it's a little bit of a slippery slope you can go, really, when you put your confidence or establishing who you are out there in the social network, in the social media, whatever you want to call it, you know, that's a slippery slope. And when you're looking for likes and follows and comments to give you meaning and purpose, that's a little dangerous. I mean, you know, it's a time suck, social media.
You don't have to tell me that. I still miss the days of, growing up and we still had rotary phones at my house, but I like it. I don't think the younger generation actually understands that when you put things out there, it's out there. And even for me, like, I know I'm like, I need to be cautious of what I put out there. And
Right.
I think especially when you're being a little bit risque, which is fine, but you
Right.
need to, you got to be careful.
Yeah, and who you trust, you know, and who could be
Exactly.
watching you that you don't know, and through your camera. Like I'm one of those. I
Oh
have
my gosh.
tape over my camera on my camera on my
I wasn't
computer.
until I watched this. I was like, nope. I was like, I'm gonna go ahead and make sure it's always closed or
Yeah, or
something.
just I put a little sticker over it. But
Is-
yeah, you know, just and to have fun. I just, you know, I really, really for my first, you know, narrative film, I really just wanted to make an audience like a pleasing film, like a fun film that would take you on a ride. And, you know, maybe you'd have
Yes.
something to talk about. And also, you know, you might say to the people you went with, what did she decide at the end? And I don't want there to be a clear answer.
I
You know?
love that. That was just like I kept going back and forth, like playing
Yeah.
in my head how I wanted to see it. But and
Right.
I loved it.
Well, we hope to
I
make a part 2 and a part 3. We already have ideas, but who knows? You know,
stop it. Oh my God.
yeah, we'll see.
I don't know if my heart could take that. I would be so excited. But that, yeah, I mean, when I watched this and I immediately emailed Ted, who's just a great guy, and I was just like,
Yeah.
can I please speak with the filmmaker? I was like, because again, this project was just, I love something that gives me a good scare, makes me think,
Mm.
but like, as you said, it was just a fun ride. I didn't know who to trust. And for, I think Danny, I mean, the fact that this is her first time in in a feature role, also
Yeah.
writing it,
Yeah.
and this is your first narrative, like, just help me understand, because I know I am just somebody who can get very like tell me about the pressure, because that just in my current day, I feel like if I've got a huge project or something, that weighs on me. And so what was that like, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely intense because I knew we had to get it right because, you
Mhm.
know, money fixes things. So when you don't have extra money to spare, you have to get it right the
Yes.
first time. So, and I knew I didn't want to kill the crew because a happy crew, you know, happy film. There was a lot of pressure. There was definitely, you know, thankfully I had Michael to take a lot of that pressure off. But, you know, I've been producing for 20 years, so I kind of had to, you know, be the kind of know, like I was always producing myself. I wish I didn't have to do that. But as a director, because Michael was so busy making everything else work, I was always like, Sylvia, you don't have time for another shot. No, you can't do that setup. No, you have to be ready for lunch. You can't be late, you know. So, and I would sometimes say, oh, screw off and do it anyway. But I had that kind of, you know, because I knew how, like, I knew I never wanted to move away from a shot unless I thought I had it. I had said to myself, you're never, I
Okay.
don't care, never say moving on unless you really see, even if it's pieces,
Mhm.
you know you have it. And I also wanted, because I had, you know, I often, for the really important stuff, I would check in with Luke and Danny because we're collaborators, and I thought
I
it would
love
be
that.
important to make sure, like, guys, are you good? I'm really good. I feel like we got, and if they were like, you know, I really feel like, they almost 99% were like, we're good. I'm good. And we moved on. But there was a lot of pressure. And I'll tell you one little story. So I had started, day one was going to be a beautiful scene outside in a park where the two of them meet for the first time. A lot of page count, but it's 2 actors outside. Not going to be a very challenging day. We've been checking the weather for weeks. The art department needed that day to get the set finished, you know, the whole huge set. Late afternoon, early evening, suddenly a storm is coming in. And I'm like, oh my God. So I call the production designer, Noah, and I'm like, Noah, we might have to shoot inside tomorrow. She's like, the set's not ready. She's like, the only set we have that we could get ready is the bedrooms upstairs. That was the first scene we shot. Now I had plans, I had movies and scenes I was going to study to kind of get ready for the kind of love scene. And holy shit, day one, foot in mouth, you know, all that crap. Hi, Luke, here's Danny. We had a couple of days rehearsal. But when I called Luke and then I called Danny the night before the first day of filming, I was like, guys, they both were a little, you know, as actors, they
Sure, of course.
for that. And that's I mean, Luke's character's in a very different place. Danny's character's in, so I wasn't really ready. So it was just like, and we didn't really decide because they were both like, well, if we don't have to, let's not. That morning it was too risky. Class, thunderstorm. It was all just too threatening to. We could have been filming by trying to go outside. So
sure.
That morning, I'm like, guys, we have to go for it, and it was probably the best thing because we all got over getting to know each other. We all
of course
jumped right in, and I'm like, holy shit, I'm like, yeah, that's
a crazy fucking scene. I mean, it's so good too, but
day
it's so
one
like
filming a narrative feature for me with these actors and so that was that was
I am gagged. That's
but
well, again, bravo.
That's indie. I've had crazier things happen on the docs I've made, but for that's
amazing. I mean, again, it just goes also to the testament of just the collaborative effort that you all had and just the chemistry, because it worked very well. And again, I love to be scared. So
good. And I have to say, I have to kind of throw kudos out to my DP, because the thing I love about Luke Geisbuehler, he's so many and I shouldn't say that, I haven't worked with so many DPs, but my concern would be that sometimes DPs are so worried about what the visual is in a frame that they're maybe not listening as much to the performance. And with Luke, it's both, because I could ask Luke, like, do you think that was too much? Should I, and like, just as another set of eyes and someone whose artistic taste I really respect. So he made me less stressed, I would say, because I knew I could lean on him, and he's made, he just did Borat. He was shooting, all the Borats. I mean, he works, with Sacha Baron Cohen all the time. He does his series, and he's, done narrative a bunch as well. And so so it was really nice to have people like that, and Mike, that I could lean on, if I needed another, just another outside eye or a thought or a question. And
I mean, that's awesome. I love to hear that. I guess for my final question, because I'm such a horror fan or a genre fan, but what has been one thing, in the past 365 days in the genre that's really excited you, or just, like shocked you, or just something that, maybe you're like, okay, that was good.
Wow.
Doesn't even have to be a movie. It could just be like a moment, a character, or even a performance. I'm just curious.
Yeah. Well, so just recently, of course, this is going to be a little boring because everyone talks about it, but I just saw Nope. Jordan Peele excites me, of course.
Yeah.
He's fucking genius.
Yes.
I mean, who has 3 movies in a row like that? I mean, I was literally just thinking about it. I was like, could Martin Scorsese, like Mean Streets to Taxi Driver, and then it was could we find another early 3 films, filmmaker like those 3,
knock it out of the park.
Yeah, knocked out. And then I friggin' loved the Black Phone. Holy shit, I love that movie. I don't know, I can't say which one I like better, to tell you the truth, because the Black Phone, everything I love in horror, didn't show you too much, which neither did. And it was nostalgic. I'm like, I feel like I'm home and it's nostalgic, but it's a horror film. Like, there's bad shit going on.
It was like a coming of age horror film.
Yeah, and I loved the Black Phone. That movie really excited me. And then seeing Nope, and Nope was so different than what I expected. It wasn't that scary, but it was creepy. And oh God, the performances. Holy shit. I mean,
he always manages just to pull out these crazy performances from the actors, and I think those are 2 great films, honestly. And another thing I'll say about the Black Phone is the child actors, like
oh my gosh, so good.
I saw that at Overlook, and I was just like,
what of that, the Netflix, the huge, I'm forgetting the name, it's like season
Stranger Things.
Yeah, which is, they have great child actors too.
Yes.
I love to work with some of those kids. But that young boy in Black Phone.
Oh, Mason Thames was like the genre is doing so great, and I love it.
So hot right now. It's like we're like back in the 80s or somewhere, early 90s. Like, it's so hot. Like, that's exciting. I have a project I'm working on that I'm like, oh my God, this is so like, it's a little bit higher. It's like an elevated horror film. It's kind of like got a monster in it, so it's a little bit more effects, but it's all heart. It's got a lot to say, and
That's
I'm really excited about it. Yeah,
Oh.
and then if Danny and I can get a part 2 started.
Oh, I would be so here to see that. Oh my goodness.
Well, if it happens, we'll let you know.
You know, my other favorite thing is there always have been, but there's just been a huge rise in female directors in horror really
100%.
getting their moments to
I know.
shine, and it makes me so freaking happy. Like that's
So
why
true.
I think
Yeah.
like Maggie Levin, Gigi Salguero, Emily Bennett, like there's just, and so I'm
many. I know.
happy to add your name to, like, this was,
Thank you.
yeah, so
Yeah.
I can't wait to see your next project, because that already sounds like something right up my alley. I just want to say again, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with
Oh,
me.
thank you. This was fun. Yeah,
again,
I love your show. I watched one. Yeah, no, you always have such interesting people and conversations. Cool.
Oh yeah, I mean, I love speaking with filmmakers, and then we
And you
also
love
have
film. Your
I
passion
do.
for the genre definitely comes through loud and clear. And
I just love hearing how you all create your art, because in some way, shape, or form, it impacts me. Whether again, my doctor doesn't like that it raises my blood pressure, but sometimes there's things to take away, which from this there is. And then sometimes it helps me just escape and have a good damn time, because that's what film should do.
yes.
And so, yeah, for everyone, again, Popcorn Frights on the 14th.
And there's some virtual tickets. So
Maybe,
there's a few, there's not many. And then if you're in London, come to Fright Fest.
I mean, I can't believe you at Fright Fest. That's such a big festival too.
Yeah, I'm really excited. Oh, we're traveling. So Danny arrives next week. So we go off to Fort Lauderdale for Popcorn. Then we go to Mexico City for Macabro, which is a fabulous friggin' Mexican festival. Then we go to London, and then I can't say yet for a few more. Oh, when is this going to air?
This won't air until the weekend of Fright Fest.
Oh, great. So then we're going to go to Biff, Brussels. Huge.
Stop!
Yes.
Oh my God. Congratulations.
Huge. I know. I'm so Biff. And we have a great screening. We're at night on a weekend night. I'm stoked, but I'm so friggin' nervous about having to sing a fucking song. That they make directors stand up on the stage before the movie. So I made Danny. I'm like, Danny and Michael, you're both coming. I'm not singing alone. That's gonna be so
I think that is.
And then I fly back and I go straight to Albuquerque for a really sweet festival there. So it's fun. It's gonna be a rocket.
That just makes me so happy to hear that. Oh my God. Because again, this film needs to be seen, and I'm just happy to hear it's really making the festival circuit.
Yeah, and
because
we're gonna start sharing it with distributors soon.
Oh my God. All I hope is at one point, I'm hoping I want to see it on the big screen. I don't know if it'll get to happen here in the Midwest, but if not, I'm just
hopefully we're hoping, even if it's a limited release on the screen.
I will drive an hour and a half to go see this.
Ooh, well,
it's worth it.
We'll be in the festival. Where are you exactly again?
I'm in St. Louis, but I will keep my eye out for sure, because yeah, this is just a film I'd want to see.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
But again, thank you so much. Again, congratulations, and I really hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. You too. All right. Bye-bye.
You have been listening to the Horror Hour. See you next time.